Is this thing on? It is on. Good morning, and it's Thursday, the 21st of July. My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, and guess what we do here? No, really. Okay, fine. I'll let you in on it. Well, chances are you know what we do, but I'll tell you anyway. We answer your traffic and police questions for an hour a day so that you can know stuff about things. That's what it's about. If you've got questions about traffic law, traffic safety, police stuff in general, this is the place to get your info. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. Did I say that already in the intro? I don't know. But we are traffic services. We're a citywide unit that supports, well, traffic-related things. Investigations, enforcements, everything. And, of course, education. So we have the fine folks at, I gotta tighten my mic. We have the fine folks that do investigate your collisions. We have the folks that go out and try and make a change one ticket at a time. You know, the Vision Zero enforcement team, which I will talk about right now. They go out and look for people who are choosing to break the law. Because if you're breaking the law, you're making a choice, right? We can acknowledge that it's not an oopsie-doo, an accident. You know, no, if you're using your phone while you're driving, you're choosing to do it. If you are speeding, you're choosing to do it. And what do they look for? Well, guess what they're looking for? They're looking for people who choose to speed. They're looking for people who choose to use their cell phones, their communication devices, their entertainment devices, or just looking at your friend's Instagram while you're driving and they're holding. You know, these are all offenses. Aggressive driving. There's a whole bunch of offenses that fall into the category of offensive or aggressive driving, and it is offensive. Additionally, they're looking for impaired driving. All those things are known to increase the chances of serious injury and death on our roads, and we don't want that to happen. We're talking about Vision Zero, folks. We're talking about the fact that we acknowledge that minor collisions are going to happen. We acknowledge that there's not much you can do to prevent all of them. But the ones that are leading to serious injury and death are totally preventable. They are unacceptable, and we need to make changes to make and protect vulnerable road users or road users in general. So with that, I say, let's get on with the show. What are we going to talk about next? Oh, before we move on to the show, let's talk about the fact that it's the 22 Division and 33 Division. That's where Vision Zero enforcement team are focused today. Big brain people have told them where to hang out because that's where they're needed most. So what does that mean? What do those divisions mean? They don't mean everything to everyone or anything to any, I don't know. They mean that the unit is going to be hanging out in Etobicoke West Mall, Queensway, Etobicoke. That's an Etobicoke thing. And then Parkwoods, Donalda, Baby Village, York Mills. These are other areas, neighborhoods within those that are, places that they're going to focus their efforts. That's not to say that we're not giving tickets out anywhere else. It just means that there's going to be a higher police presence by the folks from the Vision Zero enforcement team there today. They're in different areas every day, and it's, again, big brain people, stats that tell us where that we need to be. Yeah, that's it. All right, now we can move off of that and on to something else. If you are watching us, you could be watching us on the Instagram phone, the TikTok phone. You can also be looking at this magical Restream camera, which is focusing or broadcasting on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn Live, Facebook, and Twitter. And everyone except Twitter can ask me questions. Okay, it's not really like that. If you go to trafficcop.ca, and I'll throw that on the ticker on the bottom, trafficcop.ca, you can join our Volley app community. It's our space on the Volley app. And what does that mean? Well, it's just another app, right? Now, this app is cool. It allows you to send me video, voice, or text messages asking me questions, and I give priority to the app because it is just oriented in such a way that I can play your audio right here on the mic just by holding my phone right here. Yeah, you get to be part of the show. All right. Now, I have to tell you the reason this all came to be, not just because I found a cool app, but I was looking for a way to ensure that you had an opportunity to get your questions asked, especially if you're on TikTok. Because as I press this little interact button and I look for the button that says Q&A, it doesn't work. And it's been 2 months that it hasn't worked. And I want to make sure I get your questions answered. And we have fine, magical people, moderators, people from the community who are helping me out and taking the questions from chat and bringing them to me. They're sending it to me because they're trying to help you out. But I can't read the chat. I can't keep up with it. We've got 250 people. Sometimes we get up to 1,600 people in the room. I can't keep up with chat. So if you use the fantastic Volley app, which is free, you will be able to get to me. Hey, that rhymed. It was unintentional, but I'll go with it. If you are trying to send messages outside of the hour that we do Ask a Traffic Cop, know that I do see it and I will respond. And it's really a community thing. And there's about 30, 40 people in there right now. Come talk to us. Be part of the community because we are a community. And so is the road. That's why we have to look out for each other. Looking to the folks that are coming in by way of Restream. We've got, is it Bilal? He's coming in from LinkedIn, says, hello, you're fantastic and amazing. Well, thank you very much. I try. I aim for fantastic and amazing daily, so I'm glad to hear that I'm on the mark. Stephen Bell says, good morning, Officer Sean. How are you today? I have air conditioning, folks. It is happy days. Ed, the magical man from Happy Land, came by and he fixed my air conditioning last night. That's a big deal because I have been melting at home, and yesterday I was under the weather, and I think it's just because I didn't sleep well. But last night I slept like a baby because Ed saved the day. Bill L wants to know, why you talk about traffic? Why? Well, again, I'll give a little background because I'm being asked. I talk about traffic because I'm a traffic officer. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada, and I work for Traffic Services, which is a citywide unit that handles all traffic investigations and enforcement throughout the city. Now, the officers anywhere in the city can write a traffic ticket, but we happen to be the people focused on it. We want to change driver behavior because we want to protect everybody on the road. We're looking out for drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, skateboarders, anybody who's out there. If you are walking, riding, or driving, the road is part of your day, and we are here to make that a safer place for everyone. We're about everything. We're looking about reducing impaired driving, reducing collisions. We look into it. We talk to the smartest people in the world, especially in the neighborhood. No, we talk to specialists. We're involved with people like TURF, the Traffic Injury Research Foundation. We get information through their research and get recommendations on how to make roads safer. And a lot of that has to do with driver behavior and how do we talk to people about changing those behaviors. So, yeah, that's what we're doing. Okay. Akela Dracona says, greetings and hallucinations. How about the heat lately? It's hot out there. Folks, if you are out there driving, if you're riding a motorcycle especially, make sure you're hydrating. I don't talk about this enough, and I really should. Hydration is a huge component of driving. Why? Because you have to be conscious and have your wits about you. If you're not keeping your water up, you could be having dizzy spells. You could be having all sorts of negative things, especially in the extreme heat. If you got air conditioning, use it. If you don't, make sure you're hydrating and keeping yourself safe because we want you to get to where you're going safe and sound. Okay, and Ash says, thanks for all you do, Officer Sean. It's my pleasure. This is really, it's about you, but I enjoy doing this. I'm so glad that we get to reach out and communicate with the community every day. It's awesome. We have Peter Gallagher who says, morning traffic cop. I hope you don't mind that I'm stealing your knowledge and sharing it with my coworkers. Don't worry, I give you a shout out every time. Well, thank you very much. You know what? If you are watching us, whether you're watching on TikTok, YouTube, anywhere, share it. Share it with your socials. You'll be the hero. You get to and if you happen to be talking about traffic safety and traffic law, you're doing what I want you to do anyway. You're really helping my cause, which is making the road safer. And you know what? It's no one knows this stuff. It's amazing how many phone calls I get on duty, off duty, messages, 24/7, friends, family. When you know this stuff, people need to talk to you. They want to know what you know. And if you give me a shout out, that's great. But if you take credit for having studied many, many years of the Highway Traffic Act, I won't tell anybody. Could be our little secret. Tinto Tosi coming in from Montreal says, good morning from Sanguinet. Did I pronounce that right? Sanguinet? Good morning to you. And we have lots of folks that come in on a regular basis. I recognize most of the names I just read from on our aggregate screen. These are people coming in from all sorts of different platforms, like Tinto Tosi coming in from Facebook. We got Peter Gallagher from YouTube. Ash was coming in from LinkedIn. So it's from everywhere. Now I'm going to go check out the Q&A because Michael sent me a message. He says, I have a question on volley. Well, thank you for the heads up to look for volley. I will do that because I didn't get an alert. Maybe I don't have am I on Do Not Disturb? What's going on here? All right. Is it a question about volley, or is it a question that you sent me on volley? I see a notification, but I don't see your question on volley. So I'm going to assume you have a question about volley. In any case, ask me a question because I'd love to answer your question. I talk about technology sometimes, and at 12 o'clock today, Restream's actually interviewing me on a creator spotlight, talking about how we're using their app to talk to all of you. So if you want to tune in for that, it'll be available on our YouTube, our Facebook, our everywhere. I put it everywhere. Okay, and of course their chat stuff as well. 2 weeks till a Harley draw. I have to be watching TPS Trust on the other channel. So September 16th. I think it's a little longer than 2 weeks. Let me double check. Let's go to harleyraffle.ca right now. Why am I looking at Harley Raffle? Why are we talking about Harley Raffle? Well, harleyraffle.ca is selling tickets to a Harley Davidson or for a Harley Davidson, and the money raised from selling those tickets goes to support Special Olympics Ontario. And if my phone decides to log into the local Wi-Fi, which it seems to be doing. It's doing a little spinny. Yeah, there we go. We're in. Okay. HarleyRaffle.ca. Let's see what it says. Harley Raffle. I'm typing it twice. I'm actually speaking to myself. It's not that I'm trying to repeat it. I'm not trying to subliminally. Okay, we're in a Harley. The draw is, okay, so we have Grand prize draw August 3rd. I'm so used to it being in September. I've been telling people September. Guess what? I've been wrong. It is, only a couple weeks away. Better get your tickets now. Only, I believe, 7,000 tickets were available to begin with. I got to buy my tickets. I haven't done that yet. I'm a bad host. I've been talking and telling everybody to buy their tickets, and I haven't done it myself. So yeah, that's earlier. Aquila Dracona sent you an email? Oh, for the last early bird. August 3rd is the last early bird. No, August 3rd is the actual thing. Early bird was July 4th, the early bird number 3, which was for a $500 Harley Davidson gift card. And Stephen won? Stephen W won. Katrina S won a gift card for also 500. Am I mistaken here? No, that was for a $250 Tim Hortons card. And Jesse won a $250 Sobeys gift card. Anyway, HarleyRaffle.ca. I'm moving on because we got questions to answer. But thank you for having me go down the rabbit hole. It's actually important stuff. I obviously have it on the ticker on the YouTube and all the horizontal viewers. You're seeing a ticker reminding people to buy tickets. I love that feature, by the way, being able to have stuff scroll by the screen so I don't have to continuously repeat myself. Okay. Let's start talking about traffic questions because that's what you're here for, right? Do you guys cover ever traffic-related incident, like even in the TTC? So if the TTC gets involved in a collision, yeah. If it requires an investigation, we will do it. If it's minor collisions, I believe if there's certain conditions with a TTC vehicle, because it's not just buses. TTC vehicles can be routed to a collision reporting center. More often than not, we're going to be attending at very least, especially if there's injuries. But yeah, there's all sorts of things. We're involved with all collisions. We're also involved with rail collisions. We'll have unfortunate situations where there are collisions involving trains. We investigate those. Anything that rolls, we're pretty much involved with it. We for the longest time, and I believe we're still involved with it, boating collisions. So even the stuff that floats is like boats. Okay. What do we have here? Oh, okay. Oh, Michael answer. Okay, so Michael, I think you missed it. We did talk about it. Maybe I didn't answer in volley. Let's go back. I'm going to go into the Q&A. I'm going to look for the Michael. How do I see it? Michael. Okay, this was the question.
Hey, John, so I have a question for all of us as G1 drivers. One of the scenarios I want to use as an example is, for example, I personally have elderly in the car that are supervising me. And as a part of that is they can't really walk. So in a plaza or at a shopping center, am I allowed to drop them off at a designated drop-off section?
Okay, so I did answer your question on yesterday's show. By the way, why do you sound so fast? I have it set to playback at 1.5 times, which is a really cool feature of the software. Anyway, so the question is, if you're a G1 driver, you are driving someone who's elderly to an entrance, can you then drive unaccompanied to a parking spot? The answer I gave then, and I'll repeat it now, is that you are driving with a license isn't something we enforce on private property. So if you're without a license driving on private property, we can't give you a ticket for driving without one. It's not an invitation to go drive without a license, but I'm telling you we can't charge you for it. We can charge you for stunt driving. That's something that's covered under the HDA on private property. Anyway, my suggestion would be if the elderly folks that you are driving with have accessibility permits, they have accessible parking permits, then you drive to the parking spot for accessible parking, park there, and you all walk in together. And the reason I suggest that is because if you were to drop them off and then go park, while we can't give you a ticket, if a collision occurred, insurance wouldn't cover you because you're not a licensed driver. So they have the option to, but my understanding is many insurance companies look for opportunities not to cover you, especially when there's violations like someone driving without a license. So, other things to know if you have an accessible permit, or if you're driving somebody with an accessible permit. I have a friend who lost his son's permit. His son is in a wheelchair. He dropped his son with his wife off at the sidewalk at the front door and then drove into an accessible parking spot. That's against the law. You are only allowed to use the accessible parking spot while the person who issued the accessible parking permit in the vehicle. If they're not in the vehicle, it's not valid, and you can have it taken away, which is exactly what happened to my friend. Okay, let's move on. Adam's got a question, but we'll come back to that. If you're wondering how that question came in, how I played it, that was our Volley app space. To get that, go to trafficcop.ca. It'll forward you right there. It'll tell you where to download it. You can use it on your computer, your Android, your Apple phone, whatever you got. It'll work. What is this? James wants to know about escorts for the Hells Angels in the city pulling away other tasks. I'm not involved with the planning of that. I know that we tweeted about some closures, but I'm not involved with the escort or even if there is an escort. So unfortunately, the news is going to be the best source of information for that one because I'm not up on it. I'm sitting here in my silo, answering traffic and police questions. But now I want to know. So once the show's done, I'll have to go look it up and find out for myself. Okay. If my bumper is damaged, do I need to submit a damage report to the Popo? So if you got into a collision and the damage value of the damage is over $2,000, you're obligated by law to report that collision to the police. Don't have to claim it under insurance, but you have to report it to police. That's if you hit a wall, you damage something, and it's combined. If it's multiple vehicles, it's the combined total. So if your vehicle had $1,000, their vehicle had $1,000, that meets the requirement for mandatory reporting. You have to report. If you don't report, you can be charged, which very often happens when someone says, I'll pay you, don't worry, I'll fix it, and then someone leaves it a couple of weeks and doesn't report it, and then one party goes in and the other party gets a letter in the mail saying, hey, you were involved in a collision on this date and time, you need to go and report it. So that's the deal there. So darn full says, if you are at a red light and an emergency vehicle behind you, should you proceed through the red light? No, you are not authorized to cross a red signalized intersection on a red signal. It's not safe. It's not legal. Don't do it. If we're behind you and we want you to get out of our way and you can't get over to the side of the road, make the legal right turn or wait until someone makes the legal right turn at an intersection to make space for you. If that doesn't happen, you're stuck and we will wait. That is all. We should be going into the path of least resistance. And if possible, we should be planning ahead, going into oncoming traffic to avoid situations where people are stopped. Because it's not reasonable to ask 20, 30 cars to get out of your way. And we're going to do whatever we have to do to get to where we have to go. And very often, it's safer for us just to pause. Maybe we'll turn off our siren, wait with our lights flashing. Maybe we will not think of that, but we should. In any case, don't go through red lights. You'd be taking on all the liability. You don't, even for police, fire, and ambulance, we have to be full lighting and siren, for full emergency equipment on. Must come to a complete stop. And while we do that, we're taking on liability. We are responsible for whatever happens next because it is outside of the regular A-B driving, A to B. So don't do that. I think I've been clear. I'm moving on. The London police removed the license plate for Removed the license plate for no insurance on a vehicle, so now they can't drive it. Stephen Bell, I missed something. What is that? You made a statement, but I have no idea what you're talking about. No, I don't know what we're talking about. It's just an out of the blue question. So I guess if someone had no insurance, could we seize the plates? If someone was, generally speaking, we don't take plates for no insurance. We direct you not to drive. You should not drive. If you drive again, we can charge you for driving a vehicle after being directed not to. You're breaking the rules. You get an additional charge for which, by the way, comes with a $5,000 to $25,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. But taking the plates doesn't generally happen. I'm not aware of authority for that. Now, the blanket authority of preventing the continuation of the offense could apply. But I don't think that's where it's supposed to be applied. But it could be. Okay, moving along. Tell them why you're doing TikTok instead of being on the road. I don't know if that's a statement because there's a conversation that needs addressing. However, the deal is I was in a motorcycle collision on duty. As a result of that, I found I became involved in doing other types of work that was administrative. And I have skills and abilities in video and creative stuff. Photographer, videographer, editor, doodly guy who can draw stuff. So I started doing social media stuff. And eventually I went live. I was behind the camera. And then one day I was in front of the camera. And I've never been behind the camera. Well, I'm on both sides of the camera, I guess. I'm a one and only person. Let's see here. Oh, a question coming in from Q&A. I just got notified on my Apple Watch. So here is the question, and it is a text question from TK. It says, hey, officer, can cops see your insurance status when they scan your plates? Or a better question is, what do cops see when they scan your plates? So, a very good question. And joining me now is Sergeant Melissa Kulik, who is my partner in the office here. We work in traffic safety programs. We are traffic safety programs.
Yeah.
They ain't nobody else.
Nope.
And we are both media relations
Good morning.
officers, and we do stuff and things here talking about. And Q says hello.
Hello.
And,
hello, world.
Yeah, hello world. Very Apple-esque of you to say that. So the question was, what do you see when we pull someone over and run their plate? Can we see insurance status? Can we see, what do we see? And I hadn't started the answer. I don't know if you want to take it or if...
We can see lots of stuff. Specifically, details about the ownership of the vehicle comes up, who the registered owner of it is, and then it tells us anything related to the vehicle, the type of vehicle, what the plates are to be attached to. It also allows us to do a deep dive into the registered owner of the vehicle so that we can have all the particulars on that person before we approach. And a lot of that is to do with safety as well. We want to make sure we know what we're doing, right?
Yeah, so. and we can also search things on the Ministry of Transportation because we're partnered with them, so we can see. And there is a flag for status of insurance, but that's part of we don't lay charges based on that alone. So we would see if their system was up to date. It would say either confirmed or unconfirmed, and from there we would continue our investigation. Nice thing about that whole insurance thing, because that's where this really started. We might get an indication that we should be doing some more work. We have 3 years to lay that charge. That's a unique charge, or that act allows us to charge for up to 3 years. So if you were involved in a collision, you provided a false document, later it came out that it was not insured, we could lay the charge later, which is cool.
Yeah.
A lot of people who insurance is a really sticky subject. A lot of people choose to try and save some money by not insuring their vehicle and going to great lengths to avoid, to appear that they're insured when they're not. So
and it's a very large fine if you're not. And that aside, if you don't have insurance and God forbid you get into a collision, it's going to cost you handsomely. And you can. It's just not good. It's better to pay up front and be proactive.
For sure.
Yeah, nobody likes paying, but...
I would take a discount if I could get one, but no,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. And rates go up based on where you live because of high, rates of collisions. Here's a great thing. All of what we talk about is making the streets safer, the roads safer for everybody. If we actually had safer roads, we would have lower insurance rates. We would have fewer collisions. Thus, insurance companies would reevaluate what the risk to collision would be based on the behavior that they're seeing, the rates of claims and so on. We'd all pay less. But no.
It would be amazing.
Oh, yeah. So really we should change the name of this show to How to Reduce Insurance Rates for Everybody by behaving and driving
Following
slower.
the rules
Following the rules
of the road.
Yeah. Who'd have thunk? There was something that I thought was really witty that I was going to... Oh, story time. Yes. Friend of mine in high school, his father was into the what's called courier business. Well, lo and behold, somebody that they were paying for insurance through decided to give them fake insurance slips. There was a fraudulent guy at the insurance company, and he was not activating the insurance policy, but he was printing out the insurance cards. So every vehicle that they were driving that was a company vehicle had no insurance. Well, my friend was driving with no insurance, not knowing, provides his insurance company insurance card after a collision, ends up being, I think he had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars out of pocket personally, because even though he was the victim of a crime, someone fraudulently put them in that situation, he didn't absolve him from owing money to that other party that sued, and a big mess, many years of not fun. That's my personal one step away story. It's a good friend of mine. What a horrible situation.
That is terrible.
Okay. We talked about why I'm doing TikTok. It's because I got into a collision and I started doing TikTok. It's longer than that, but tune in at 12 o'clock. We're going to talk all about it to the folks at Restream. So come back at 12. We'll have that live stream with them, and I'll be talking about that, exactly that. When your car is parked in driveway, not driving it, does it have to have insurance? It doesn't need, if you're not operating the vehicle on the roadway, it doesn't need to be insured for the road. You would want to have it insured for fire and theft, but I don't think you have to have it insured.
Yeah, I don't think you do. That's definitely a question to ask an insurance company.
Yes.
Specifically, but just remember, depending on what the value of the vehicle is, if it is stolen or damaged, then you're going to be on the hook for the replacement value of it.
For sure. It's funny. Having a good relationship with your insurance company, they're not the enemy necessarily, even if you don't like them. You need to make sure you don't break the rules with them, because they are the end-all be-all in your life if you need them. So telling them the truth, disclosing modifications to your vehicle is really important, because when you go to them and say, I need you to pay for this, and they look at your car and you have not been truthful and open with them, they may turn around and say, we're not covering it. And that's a bad day at the office.
There are some insurance companies out there, and I know of one specifically. I'm not going to mention who they are, but they actually have a phone number where you can call and ask questions without identifying yourself or anything. So it's basically a give me the information and then I know.
Yeah, that's actually
I
very
think
interesting.
It's kind of interesting rather than having everything you ask associated to your name.
Sure.
Because people are fearful of that, right?
Right,
So,
because you say something and suddenly your rates go up. And if you're just
Right.
asking about something prior to, could it flag? Could they just say, oh, here's someone who's a tuner. We should look at this person and raise their rates because they say, that's a really, I like that. I'll have to ask you who that insurance company is later. We can't promote anybody.
No.
So, but it is interesting. Okay, Stephen Bell says hello to you.
Oh, hello.
Are there any exceptions to window tints? Exceptions how? Like medical exemptions? Not in Ontario. So you're not allowed to have windshield tint, period. Well, except for the exception for vehicles manufactured before 2017, January 1st. You can have a 3-inch or 75 millimeter tint strip across the top, but that's it. The windows left and right of the driver can be no more than 30% light blockage, meaning 70% of the light has to come through. And even if that even if it's dark outside, and it prevents us from seeing in, you're still eligible for a ticket for obscure interior of motor vehicle with colored or reflective tint. I can actually say that now, like fast, and it still works. Usually, I had caffeine and sleep, and that's because there's two separate laws. One is dealing with the safety of your vehicle. If you put windshield tint or darker than 30% light blockage on the windows left and right of the driver, that makes your vehicle unsafe for multiple reasons. You can't see out as well. Other people can't see in as well. But the obscure interior of the motor vehicle is not for safety so much as it is for police and public being able to identify who's inside, and for the police to be able to monitor and see if the driver's wearing a seatbelt, consuming alcohol, what's going on. Amber alerts, we're looking to see who's inside the vehicle. Like, there's all sorts of reasons why we need to see in, and members of the public too. So that is a reason why there's still charges. So it could be safe, but yet still be eligible for other charges. So you might have a vehicle that's only good for driving in the day if it's so dark at night that you can't see in. Are we targeting people with tinted windows? Is it usually a follow-up question? I don't think we've ever had a campaign focused on let's get tint.
Not that I can remember.
However, if it's obviously an issue, and usually it's people with 5%, only letting 5% light come through, that's obvious, and I've stopped many vehicles for it. I've had people pull the tint off the window while I've waited because they didn't want to lose their license plates. Because if your vehicle is unsafe due to the tint, we'll take your license plates and you'll have to get towed.
And wherever you go to get a tint, they know the laws. They'll tell you exactly what you're allowed to have and not have. So just follow what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. To reintroduce, if I didn't properly do it before, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. And joining me, Sergeant Melissa Kulik, who is the other officer in this realm of media relations. Occasionally, we also see Sergeant Murray Campbell, who comes in. He's the backup for you. So you guys share responsibilities and take care of each other.
We're a big, happy team, and we
Yes.
all work well together.
And we drink a lot of coffee.
We drink a lot of coffee.
Yes. This show
But
is
not the
fueled-
Sean coffee,
No.
because that is not drinkable.
So I'm drinking Nespresso, and obviously Sergeant Kulik is not a fan. But I like it. It's too many bubbles. It freaks her out because the stir stick will
When
stand.
your stir stick stands straight up in the middle, there's something wrong with that. That's not coffee.
That's not
dirt.
coffee. Well, you know what? That dirt is fueling the show. It's keeping me going. I'm not even jittering yet. Maybe that's because I've only had one. Or no, this is my second coffee. I made a different coffee at home. Okay. What is the question here? If you... Yeah, I'm just making sure to leave anything out. The question was exemptions. So there's no medical exemption in Ontario for tint. No. That was the closing thing. Okay. If you think you got a speed camera ticket, how long until you receive it? I don't know. So the speed camera tickets are controlled by the City of Toronto. They issue them, not Toronto Police. So I don't know how long it takes them to process that, but I imagine everything takes longer these days.
And I would think, too, varying municipalities will have different turnaround times.
For sure.
So if maybe you're in a small community that has a couple of them, and you might get them a lot quicker because they don't have as many to process. So.
Yeah, and we can't even predict what it would be because it's not us.
No. There is on the City of Toronto website, you can go on there and locate, there's maps indicating where every red light camera
Yes.
is within the City of Toronto, but there's also contact information
That's cool.
that you can follow up with that.
What is this? Sean, I hear you talk about taking plates all the time. What is this? And I don't know what that means. Explain, please. So under the Highway Traffic Act, we have authority to seize the license plates of a motor vehicle for certain reasons. If it's unsafe, that's one of them. We'll seize the license plate, we'll return it to the ministry, and then you will have to go and apply for new plates and also provide safety certificates to ensure that your vehicle is safe prior to having those issued. So it puts you in a situation where you must prove safety. And it's a very good thing. If someone who is driving an unsafe vehicle obviously knows it's an unsafe vehicle, it's not a question. They've either lowered it or violated certain rules that would make it unsafe. So they're doing that by choice. They're probably going to do it again, and we'll just keep on taking the license plates.
And then their insurance goes up, up, and up.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. There's a correlation. Stopped at a light, but car intrude in pedestrian area illegal. How much is that ticket? So if you are stopped at a light and you're not before that stop line, you have not stopped for the light in the right place. So there's a ticket for stop at red light, wrong place, stop for stop sign, wrong place. There's a number of charges. You must stop at or before that white line. If you are into the crosswalk, you are eligible for a ticket, absolutely. If you stop at the right place and proceed into that area, in not yielding to a pedestrian, it's a whole bunch of charges. There's a whole bunch of things that people driving vehicles need to know. That's definitely part of the game of being licensed. Let's see here. Is there... I'm not inviting people to join. I'm looking for questions. Come on, Instagram. You should know what I want. I want Instagram to be psychic and just tell me what I want. Just show it to me. Regarding the background check stage, how much is weighted on an ex's stories about you? If it's totally opposite of what other people say, what would the investigator do? Adam, I have no idea because I've never been an investigator in the employment area of policing. I talk about becoming a member of the Toronto Police, and hey, what a great segue. We're hiring. We're hiring for parking. We're hiring for auxiliary, which is volunteer, which I used to be. We're hiring for police constables, and we want good applicants. You could be that good applicant. Also, specifically talking to Adam's question, call our recruiting department. You can get all these questions answered and more by them. They even have social media. You can get TPS recruiting. That's the perfect question for them because they're the specialists in that area. So I don't want to give you bad information or guess.
And really, they're going to deep dive into all different areas. They're not just going to talk to one person, right? Or your one employer. They're going to do a background check, and there's a reason why it's called a background check, and it's time consuming, and they follow up on everything to ensure that we get the best suitable candidates.
And if one person who had a bad breakup, says you're a horrible person, but everybody else says there's growing, roses growing out of your head because you're so magical, they're going to come to a determination based on their evaluation and you. It's not just what people say about you. Is there ever enforcement of electric moped scooters in bike lanes? Well, there are. So electric scooters, if they fall into the category of e-bike, which most would, can be in bike lanes but not cycle tracks. There's a difference, and yes, there can be enforcement. Those things need to be seen, but if there's a prevalent or a major issue of it, you can make a report at tps.ca/core. When you talk about electric mopeds are vehicles that are not legal because they're no longer considered e-bikes. Excuse me. Electric mopeds would be something that doesn't fall into the category. It's something that goes more than 32 kilometers an hour or has an engine or a motor more than 500 watts in power. So that's something that can't be on the road at all, and we are enforcing that as well. There's a lot of education that goes into it because a lot of confusion here. A lot of people don't realize they're breaking the law. They're buying something from a store that is being told that it's legal when it's not. So know what you're buying before you buy it. Make sure, and if you have questions, call us. Call the police. Call traffic. Send us emails. Talk to us on TikTok or whatever social media platform you are on, because we want to make sure you don't get charged or worse, get really hurt and not get the coverage you need or get major tickets. Like, for instance, an electric moped, again, something that doesn't classify as an e-bike. It's an electric moped or motorcycle. That is going to be something that would it would require insurance to be on the road. And if you don't have insurance, carries a fine of $5,000 to $25,000 and up to 6 months in jail. No, people don't know that, and they get the wrong information, which does not absolve them from their responsibility. Okay, enough on that. What happens when you get pulled over without a license? Not on you, it's a $110 ticket for failing to surrender upon demand. If you were talking about you're not a licensed driver, you're driving without one, it's a $300-some charge, and you get charged for driving without a license. If you got into a collision at that point, you're driving without a license, and you're not covered by insurance. You're not. You're a lot of things. The person who let you drive a car without a driver's license would be responsible for a highway traffic act offense for permitting you to drive without a license, like in their vehicle. If you own the vehicle, you just win yourself an extra charge. If you took somebody's vehicle and did it without consent, you're looking at criminal charges of take vehicle without consent. So there's a whole bunch of different things. It's more complicated than just driving without a license, but don't do it because it's really not smart. Okay. If a public figure was to come to Toronto and fans started flooding the streets, what's the protocol to get the celebrity out to safety? Yeah, that's, you know what, most people have a security plan. They try and keep their moving abouts very private. If it is a public event, there's probably security and pay duties and things like, talk about film festival, they have a protocol, they have things. That's not a police swoop in and protect them situation. You know, if it's an internationally protected person, like a head of state, where we are involved with the moving of them throughout the city, like I used to do when I was in the motor squad, that's different. We move them in motorcades, we shut down streets, we have police presence. That's very different. That's something that we are obliged to do as part of an international plan. Like it's more complicated. But movie stars, I don't know. It's mostly, I guess, private security and scooting them through, and you know, sunglasses, big sunglasses. Do you know that if I wear sunglasses, nobody knows who I am? I feel like Clark Kent when I put on sunglasses and a baseball cap. So I was talking to people at the Honda Indian. You were with me, Mel. The whole thing was people were coming up to me and they, are you that guy? That guy from TikTok? And I'm like, yeah. And but you're not bald. I'm like, oh, it's you.
Well, when we were in line to get lunch at the one kiosk there, you and I were chatting, and the guy behind us is like, I know that voice. Are you the guy? He goes, didn't recognize you, but I knew the voice.
It's really funny. But I never would have thought glasses would make a big difference. So now I understand why movie stars wear glasses. Okay. But I'm not
Maybe
hiding.
You should put a pair on here one
day.
Just
I left them in the truck.
Else.
I left them in our truck yesterday. I'm going to come in as my alter ego with my Hyundai hat on. Oh, we lost audio on IG. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. I'm going to come back to you with audio. Our battery died. That's suboptimal, as we have to switch to regain audio. Boy, that stinks. I have a battery-powered booster here. Okay, stand by. Trying to bring back audio for... There we go. Little one on the bottom. Let's see if this battery does better. Hopefully that brought our audio back. Sorry, folks, if you lost audio. I don't know where you lost the part of our conversation. Oh,
did you plug
no,
that
I didn't plug it back
no.
in.
See, that's what I'm here for.
See, my agent, technical producer, reminder to plug stuff in. So hopefully that brought our audio back. If you missed a whole bunch of it, real sorry. It's available for replay on YouTube later. Yes. So, let me type this in. Thank you for the heads up. I don't know. I could just say that now you can hear me. Okay. Let's move on. Moving along. Doing mushrooms and driving, is it bad?
I don't think we even need to answer that question. That's self-explanatory.
So for anyone who doesn't know, they're making a reference to drugs, and doing drugs while driving is not only bad, it's illegal. But you know, for the few people who don't know what mushrooms are, maybe it's a local thing. I don't know. I don't do drugs, so I don't know. But I know it's illegal. I've arrested people for doing drugs and driving. Impaired operation. Listen, if we say that no alcohol is the best way to go about operating a motor vehicle, no alcohol, no drugs, then any is bad. Yes. So Darnful says yes. Got the audio in here. Awesome. Thank you for all the updates. I appreciate it. Taking care of us from the world of Instagram. Maybe there's a plug I can buy that would. I think I had one of those when I was a kid. It was like an adapter that gave you the plug-in ability of a 9-volt battery. That must still exist. Where is Radio Shack? Why did Radio Shack leave us?
I got my first Sony Walkman from Radio Shack, and it was, you can Google it, it was yellow, waterproof. And I put my little tape in it with my giant headphones and would go out for a run or whatever. It was entertainment. You know, a lot of people on the show probably don't even know what a tape deck is, but
a cassette.
You had to fast forward and reverse to get to a song.
I used to make mixtapes. I used to play.
Me too.
I had a tape recorder I put beside the radio, and I hit record.
Yeah.
You had to press 2 buttons for record, 1 button for play. I got to find my boombox. What I'd really like to find is my Sears branded cassette recorder. I love that thing. It was my very first, and it was huge money for the time. I don't know, 50, 60, 70 bucks, I don't remember. But it was computer compatible, because back then a VIC-20 could also could create data storage using an audio tape. And I sold my mom on the idea, I got to have this thing. And I used to record stuff. I was like podcasting back then, I didn't even know it. I recorded myself speaking, and I did all sorts of things. I was really big into microphones. Even then as a kid, I couldn't have been 10 years old. But very cool.
There's a lot of cool vintage things out there, like back to the 8-track. My mom and dad still have one in the basement. Not usable.
But do you have a car with an 8-track?
No, not quite there.
Some of our viewers have cars with 8 tracks. Yeah. Are you allowed to sit in the driver's seat in your driveway if you don't have your G2? So you have a G1 and sitting. If you're sitting in there's no law preventing you from sitting on private property in the driver's seat. In fact, there's no law preventing you from sitting in the driver's seat when you're parked on the side of the road. It's operating the motor vehicle.
Yeah.
You can't drive with it. But if you're sitting in the driver's seat waiting for your driver to hop in, so you can just don't move the vehicle unless you're accompanied or supervised by a licensed qualified supervisor. Yeah. And we can talk about that for a second, because what is a qualifying driver? It means that they have their G license, they've had at least 4 years experience in total, which starts when they get their G2. So 2 years as a G2, 2 years as a G. They get that updated driver's license that has 4 vertically oriented dots, 4 dots, one on top of the other, in the bottom right-hand corner next to their mini-me photo. That's what I call it. There's probably a real name for it, but inset holography miniature thing.
And if you have your G1 and you want to go for your G2, it's not very long, right? Once you have your driver training, after I think it's 8 or 9 month period, you can go as long as you've had driver training, or a year if you haven't taken any professional driving, right?
Right.
So yeah, just get it done.
And don't rush. Don't rush. Don't start driving by yourself. A lot of people want to make time travel. They want to go faster. They want that license today. Now, granted, when I got my license, I remember I drove to the location to get my 365 back then with my mom on my birthday, 9 a.m. And then I got it and I drove home.
Yep, me too.
And then it was a month I had my G license. There was no graduated licensing at all. Was that better or worse? I don't know. I'm still here and I'm a good driver, but I kind of think that the graduated licensing program is a good way to go. We got a Q&A. Okay, we got follow-ups about questions from TTKK and Q&A. This is the name. And yes, Jake here wants to know if the number on my shoulder is my badge number. Yes, 99947, that's me. Reversed for those who are watching on Instagram. I don't know how to flip the camera. I just don't know. The closer wants to know how I like the new Chargers. They're pretty. I don't think I fit in them. I haven't tried yet, actually. I like trucks. I'm 6'5". I'm a big boy. I need to fit into something big.
I fit no problem.
Have you sat in the little one?
I fit in anything pretty much.
Yes, those that are. See, I'm vertically challenged, but because I'm too tall for most things, and Sarge is vertically challenged. Well, I don't know. You might be the right height.
I get rained on last though. I'm okay with that.
Oh, too funny. Okay, so we have the follow-up question saying, so you're saying that you see confirmed or unconfirmed if they don't have insurance in the vehicle. Would it come up as unconfirmed? Yeah, if there's no confirmation of insurance, it'll come up as unconfirmed. And what do we do when we see that? Well, what we would do is we would take the insurance information, we call your insurance company to verify the status of the policy. That's the follow-up question about having insurance. What do we see when we pull you over? And that's the deal. So we don't have to use that as a guide. That just happens to be a tool available to us. At the end of the day, if you give me a certificate, if I see lots of situations where you don't have an insurance card with you, or if your insurance card doesn't look legitimate, or you're showing me something online that I can't confirm, I'm calling the insurance company. And if you don't have your insurance card, that could be a $65 ticket, but I'll follow up to find out if you actually have insurance. And like I said before, 3 years, I have 3 years to lay the charge. Very often it is a very quick and easy phone call for me to verify. And very often, if I have that hunch, it ends up in charges being laid because a lot of people driving without insurance.
And if we see on there too that you've been stopped, X number of previous times, and you've been warned about it, or there's been charges laid, well, that's a clue.
Yeah, we're going to verify every time at that point. Okay. I got a ticket for not renewing my license plate. Should I fight it because I was unaware for this? So I don't know how you run away. There's a lot of confusion, but confusion or being unaware isn't a defense. You're still responsible. So you had to renew your license plates. You've had to renew your license plates and pay for it in the past, and now it's free. but you still have to renew. And I can't tell you how often there's been confusion. But if you read the news, if you listen to the radio, if you listen to our show, it's everywhere. In fact, I've been on multiple radio stations talking about this.
There's been so much coverage on it that, I mean, people should realistically know.
Yeah, but you know what? You never know. You might get you could always take it and ask for a discount, because that happens. In my experience, I've seen people go and say, hey, listen, I want to pay, but I can't afford it. And they'll give you payment opportunities. There's options to the courts, but that's a courts thing.
Yeah, they're going to listen to your reasons why you got charged, right? What led to it. And then they're going to weigh out what the officer says and everything in between. And then the JP will make a decision either way, whether the charge sticks or not.
For sure. And you know what? There's going to be a whole bunch of those tickets, I imagine, and they might just do something. But that's up to them. At the end of the day, can you fight it? Fighting suggests you're right and they're wrong, and you may not actually have a defense, because there's no defense for not knowing or not reading the news or being up to date. And every driver did get a notice, and every driver got a renewal, not a renewal, but
It came in the mail.
You got a refund.
Yeah.
Most people got a check, and I believe somewhere on that piece of paper would have said, by the way, you should renew. Also, if you don't already know this, you can go onto the ministry website. You can sign up for renewal notifications for your health card, your driver's license, and your license plate, because guess what, folks? They are not sending anything in the mail to remind you later. You have to sign up for the online. You can choose to get emails, text messages, something else. I think there's a third option, but none. I think it's a telephone call. I think for those who don't have access to, you can actually sign up and it'll call you and leave you a voice message. But there will not be any paper being sent anymore.
And you can renew for 2 years. So you can
for free
set it and forget it.
Well, for 2 years. If you got a calendar, put it in your calendar.
Yeah.
It's oddly enough, it's one of those things you should remember. It's your birthday.
Yeah.
You just got to remember what year it is. Curious what the rules are for fast scooters, like the ones that go fast as a dirt bike. If you're talking about a fast scooter that looks like an e-bike or a motorcycle, and if it's sort of being sold as an electric bicycle, the maximum speed permitted is 32 kilometers an hour. If it's capable of going faster, capable on a flat surface of reaching those speeds on electric power, or going beyond 32 kilometers an hour, that's a motorcycle, and it requires license, ownership, and insurance. And when I say license, I mean motorcycle license to operate it. It's a motor vehicle. So as soon as you break any of the requirements of an e-bike, it's no longer an e-bike. If you're talking about a scooter like an e-kick scooter, those are the ones with the smaller wheels, a flat skateboard-style deck, a handlebar set, those are prohibited for use anywhere in the city of Toronto. Doesn't matter if you're on the road, the sidewalk, or on a park path. You can't use them. They are motor vehicles if they go beyond 24 kilometers an hour, or if you have more than a 500-watt motor, or if you install a seat to them. So these are things that many people don't, because I see them everywhere, and we are trying to get the word out in terms of education to make people aware of it, because we don't want you to A, get hurt, or B, get a ticket. And it's a hefty ticket, because again, no insurance. It's going to be licensed. It's that $5,000 to $25,000 and up to 6 months of jail, first conviction. Not to mention the fact that the ones that go really fast, we've seen some horrific collisions. I'd play them for you if I could, but I can't, so I won't. But I've seen some stuff, and yeah. I see. Somebody wants to know, somebody being so darn full, says, parking enforcement gave tickets for invalid stickers before. Can they still ticket for non-renewal? I don't know if they're doing that. I know that for invalid stickers, they do have the ability to run a plate that's parked, and if it's parked on the street, I think they can give a ticket for it, but I don't know if they're actively doing it right now. That is a great question for Erin Urquhart, who's currently off. She has a boo-boo. She will be back hopefully soon, so she can answer all of these questions. But check her out on social media. You can get her at TPS_Bikehart. I wanted to say Urquhart. Bikehart. So TPS_Bikehart, BIKEHART, or Parking TPS. Anywhere social media is social, those are the handles, whether you're on TikTok or other platforms. Okay, so yeah, I'm interested to know the answer now that you've asked it. Okay, I live in what are the rules for? Okay, we talked about that. I live in Oklahoma, but enjoy watching this. I do have a friend at 23 Division, though. Very cool. Well,
Awesome.
First of all, hello, Oklahoma. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your patronage, your viewership, your support.
And hopefully you're learning a few things. And that way, when you do come to Ontario, you'll know our laws.
Well, what you really need to do is you need to quiz your friend at 23 Division and see
Hey.
what their knowledge is.
Maybe
'Cause
tell them to tune in.
Make some notes and then say, so by the way, and then see what they say. Because, not everybody, I get phone calls from cops. I get phone calls from cops all the time asking for clarification on laws. And it's not to make fun of the cops that call. Well, some of them. But really it's because we are traffic people. So we study things that not everybody focuses on because they don't have the time to. They're
This
focused
is a
on their
specialized unit, essentially.
Yes, we know stuff that others don't, and it's because they know stuff that I don't, and that's okay. So we're here to support each other. But you should totally make fun of your friend at 23 Division if you can. Actually, members of our command team, like the kids of sergeants and staff sergeants watch the show, and very often I've heard stories where one particular inspector came by and said my daughter came by and said, "Hey, Mom, what's this?" And she gave the appropriate answer because she says, "Good," because that's what Sean said. I got to start doing videos like, "Hey, did you know this? If you watch Sean on the internet, you'll know." Anyway, okay, moving on. My girlfriend is trying to get into dispatch. Any suggestions? I don't have any suggestions. Do you have any suggestions? I don't know anything about dispatch other than it's tough.
I do know there's quite a process going through. It's a lot of in-class training and then practical training. And not everybody is successful when they go through the training because you have to have a certain ability when it comes to dealing with 911 calls and taking all that information and then eventually moving to a desk where you're dispatching actual divisions. So, I don't know advice-wise.
It's stressful.
I know you have to be a good typer.
You have to use foot pedals too.
Yes, to talk.
Foot pedals, mousing, and typing all at the same time.
Multitasking is absolutely a requirement.
But if you have questions, talk to the recruiting department and possibly speak to someone or ask if there's someone from dispatch that you might be able to speak to. We had some episodes with Tracy from dispatch. Maybe I can ask her to come back and do an episode with us again and talk about what she does. So stay tuned for that. You can go look at the old episode. It's available on YouTube, and that is going to be if you search for Tracy and I don't know. Check our page. There's definitely an episode there. And if you DM me, I'll send it to you. A link to it. Okay. How long would you go to jail if you were caught in credit card fraud? I should read the end of the question before the beginning because I have no idea.
It really depends. Fraud, it's a criminal code charge. So although the criminal code will tell you that the sentencing is it's much like any conviction. You could get, this amount of time to this amount of time, right?
And it depends on the judge.
And it depends on the judge and the evidence and what's, are you a repeat offender? All kinds of stuff. So that is a court question, not really a police question.
I like it.
Right?
I mean, there is a question as to we could look up the section and see what the possible range is, but actually knowing what would happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have a question. So here we go. I'm going to read it verbatim. Yo. People are telling me it's legal to pass on a solid yellow, true or no? So that's a complicated question. It's not against the law to cross a solid yellow. If you were to cause a collision because it was unsafe, then you'd be responsible. But we have no charge under the Highway Traffic Act for cross yellow line. Yellow line means that the traffic on the other side is coming at you. It's the opposite direction. So obviously there's risk there. And the reason it's solid is because somebody suggested it wasn't safe. So if you cross it, you are deciding to go against the suggestion, so there's no question that you'd be responsible for the collision that occurred. But the offense of crossing the line doesn't exist. Now, other provinces it does.
I was just going to chime in and say that. So if you're not in Ontario, it could be very different in your province or your state, wherever you live.
And that's a good time to remind everybody that this what we do with the Toronto Police and what we talk about for the most part are either Toronto bylaws or Ontario provincial laws. Many of the safe driving discussions we have apply everywhere, but every law is going to be, well, I shouldn't say every law. The majority of laws are the same everywhere. But when you talk about equipment stuff like tint or underglow, there may be laws in your province that are different here, so you need to check with your local police. That'd be the best one. We have friends on TikTok, like Safe Communities. They're in Brooks, Alberta. They're an RCMP detachment. Josh and Logan out there talk about the laws all the time on their live streams. So there's always opportunities to get information catered and specific to what you need to know. And if you want to be specific of if it doesn't apply to Ontario, ask, because we might know, but we answer default Ontario. Okay. We are approaching the end. We've got about 5 minutes left, and we got to go right at 11 today, maybe 11:02. I think we can go to 11:02. Okay. Is there a lane on highways for faster in passing still? I love this question. I had some very angry people on the Jerry Agar show yesterday, which we were on at 9:30, and the answer is there is a courtesy. We call it the passing lane. We call it the fast lane. It is not actually in law officially a passing or fast lane. There are laws that say in some situations where it says signs that say faster or slower moving traffic keep right. That's different. That's a sign giving you direction. But the lane, which we normally call the passing lane, and it is suggested for passing, is the right lane, or the left lane, I should say. And we have a lot of people who tend to just hang out there. And you shouldn't. You should stay to the right unless you're actively passing. But passing doesn't allow you to speed. You're not allowed to go over the speed limit because the limit is the limit, not the suggestion or minimum. And there's so much controversy there because yesterday somebody got really mad at me and said, everybody on the 401 is going 20 over. Is everybody speeding and breaking the law? And my answer is yes. Everyone who goes over the speed limit is technically breaking the law. Do we know what's happening? Yeah. Do we stop everybody? It's not possible. But it's still against the law. So he was really upset. Like really upset. Okay. What do we say here? What if my friends get caught driving on a G1 alone? I love this question. The answer to your question is if they get caught, they're going to be charged for drive G1 unaccompanied. They're going to receive, if it's their first conviction, a 30-day license suspension. They are going to, if it's their second conviction, they're going to be giving them a 90-day suspension. If it's their third, they are going to be kicked out of the graduated licensing program. Additionally, they are going to have a problem because if it resulted in a collision, they're not covered. The vehicle liability might still cover the people they injure, but the vehicle will not be covered because they weren't legitimately permitted to drive the vehicle. So they're effectively unlicensed. Now, more so, the person who let them drive that car, let's say mom, dad, cousin, brother, sister, friend, I don't know, they're eligible for a charge under the Highway Traffic Act for permitting someone to drive a motor vehicle in contravention of a condition. So their condition is they have to be supervised. They're not supervised. They violated that. If you knew they had a G1 and let them drive, you can be charged too. Wait one more. There's one more step. If they say, well, no, they took it without permission. My keys were on the table. They took it. I never said yes. I know they can't drive. Well, guess what? That's now a criminal offense of take vehicle without consent. So we have all sorts of potentials. All of them are bad. Please don't drive if you do not have an appropriate license. Drive based on the conditions you have. So zero alcohol with an appropriate supervising driver and follow the rules. All of them. Because if you don't, you are going to be at the bad end of the stick.
Yep. Not worth it.
It really isn't. And God forbid you actually hurt somebody. You're talking about severe liability.
And like I said earlier, it's really not that long until you get to do your G2 and you can drive alone.
Yes, and all you're going to do is delay that. Yep. Now, when I said that you get kicked out of the graduated licensing program on your third conviction, that means you start at 0 days. You'd have to reapply and start everything from the beginning. So let's say you took a course, you were 7 months, 25 days in, you'd start at 0. So you're really, there's no excuse. And worse, you could be in a bad spot liability wise. Okay. And a car that someone's going to want to be repaid, like mom and dad's $100,000 car or $50,000, $30,000. That's a lot of money that someone's not going to be happy with you for. Okay. Frankie wants to know, can you drive a vehicle with a cracked windshield? If it's obstructing the view, which is most cases, no, you can't. It's unsafe. Get it changed. What happens if you get 3 stunt driving? That's very specific. I believe you can get into a lifetime ban. For 3 stunt drivings, lifetime driving ban.
Yeah, upon conviction.
Upon conviction, yeah. That's over and above everything else. You've got to be a special kind of, I won't say it, if you've got 3 stunt driving.
If you haven't learned up to the first and the second,
you don't deserve a license.
On the third, maybe you shouldn't drive.
Do not deserve it. Time, 11 o'clock. I wanted to get others. Listen, there's some great questions still here in queue, and thank you to Q for putting them in the queue. But the deal is that I have to prep for another show, which is coming back on at 12 o'clock, where I'm going to be interviewed by Restream, talking about what we do here on social media or Ask a Traffic Cop at Toronto Police in the media hub studio place that I'm sitting. So we're going to be back at 12. Please join us. It'll be fun. You can ask questions there, not traffic ones though, because we're going to be talking about other stuff. But come by at 12, and all of this will be available later for rebroadcast. You can watch it anytime. Thank you for everyone who has been joining us. If you don't already watch us, please do. And we will be back Monday for the next Ask a Traffic Cop. We'll do this all over again. If you want to get us from now until then, if you've got questions, burning questions that need answers, jump into trafficcop.ca. That'll forward you to our Volley space. It's a community space. It's a space for you. It's a space for me. I'm going to make a song. And that is a place where we can just chat. You want to ask a question by way of video, voice, message, or text, you can do that right there. Okay, that's it. That's out. We're out. Music. And we'll just say goodbye in a second. Let's play for like 30 seconds and see what's up. And yeah, I got air conditioning and it's a thing. It's a thing. I'm having fun. I did have fun today, and thank you for everyone who came in to support. Did I mention that if someone doesn't follow us, they really should?
Yeah.
I think I did.
Log on, follow us.
Yes.
Have a great day, guys.
Yes, awesomeness awaits you.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,